when you starting all over, you are not starting from square one, but with knowledge. I just want you to really think about that. Like, when you starting all over, you're not starting from square one. You're not starting from where you was before. Welcome to Deep Bites with Sony Blaze, where we take deeper bites of subjects and matters that we discuss in Deep Talk with Sony Blaze. I am Sony Blaze, and let's take a deep bite. So, as you seen earlier in that video, on that short, and if you want to watch that short, I will put a link. The link is in the description, and also a link into the actual episode is going to be in the description as well too. But when you start from square one thing a lot of times we don't understand, when we are starting all over, we're not just starting all over with just fresh, like a completely fresh start and whatsoever. We're starting all over with the experience and knowledge that we had before. I mean, let's really think about that though, man. Just deeply think about that. When shit happens and you probably at a fucked up situation, and like I said, things just start to fall apart and you have to start all over. Once you're at that point of starting all over, then you're on square one and you're trying to figure out what to do and how to do it, but still want to actually do what you need to do. Remember this though. Remember this. You're not starting from just square one. You starting with the experience, the knowledge, the resources, well, at least the, mental resources that you had before, once you're starting all over. Like I said before on that video, we're going to take the RPG aspect of the thing. Let's think about that. All right, RPG. Look, we're going to talk about one of my favorite old school RPG games. I might play that soon on Twitch, but that is Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. Now that's the American name, but the Japanese name is Espel something. Yeah, I'm gonna get that pronunciation correct eventually soon. But anyways, well, actually, I believe it does has that. I don't think it does has that. I can't remember what other game has that system. So we're probably gonna change it up. I think one of the old Final Fantasy games, maybe Final Fantasy, but I can't remember what RPG games. But there are a few RPG games that's out there that once you beat the game, once you sit there, you beat the last boss, and you're like level, 100 or something. You got the best tools and whatsoever. You have an opportunity to start the game again, but not to start the game again with just nothing. You can start the game again with sometimes the equipment that you have. Sometimes you might get lucky and start it off with just the level that you start off with, but most games is most likely you get start off with the equipment, with the gold, with stuff like that you accumulated on your travels. And that's the thing when you starting all over, because one thing is the key word. You're starting all over. You're not starting. You're starting all over again. You're restarting. So while you're restarting, you're not restarting from nothing. You're restarting with something. With the education that you may have. With the experience of you doing whatever that you have done. It could be painting, game design, web design, beat making, producing, whatever it is. Once you at that point of you have to do everything all over again. The only difference is you starting all over with all that knowledge and resources that you had before. So, and the thing is, once you restart again, instead of the time and effort that you did it the first time, since you know what to do, you can sit there and climb faster and maybe even higher than what you had done before. Now, it won't always be like that when it comes to life. And I do apologize for that. Let me go ahead and do that. But it won't always happen like that when it comes to life. But if you're willing to sit there and do it, then it might happen. It's going to happen. So, while you're sitting there and restarting all over again, what you can actually do is while you're restarting, you could sit there and with the knowledge and experience that you have, is build a better foundation for yourself. For example, with Deep Talk with Sony Blaze, and now it's going to be Deep Bites as we speak right now. When I've done those shows before, I was pretty much doing it, with less knowledge and less experience. I was sitting there basically doing what I can, just sitting there throwing shit on the wall and see what sticks. That was pretty much what I was doing. But as I continue on and kept on going and kept on going and kept on doing it, I began to understand and learn a lot from all that experience. But then after life happens, because let's be real, life happens. After life happens, I dropped it, and then after I dropped it, I have done it for a while. But then I one day picked it back up and started all over again, as you can see with the video that you seen earlier, of starting all over again and Deep Bites as we speak now. So while starting it, with all the knowledge and information and resources that I got, instead of just doing it like I've done before. Now, obviously, the first start of it was just me just getting used to being in front of the camera and stuff like that. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're discussing is how I sat there and began to plan. I sat there, write, the scripts down. I wrote, outlines. I slowly created the graphics and stuff, and used the other graphics and stuff that I had before and some of the outlines that I had before to create a foundation for me to actually stand on, so I can sit there and start to create Deep Talk with Sony Blaze on a consistent basis. And that's the thing. With the knowledge, with the information, with the resources that you have, you can sit there and create that foundation. That foundation is going to be tough, especially if you're doing it by yourself, but you won't be alone for too long. But once you create that foundation, you can sit there and stand on that foundation, and that foundation should carry you towards where you want to be at. And see, that's the thing about it. Once you're restarting from scratch and have the knowledge and information, you can go ahead and use that as your foundation to get to a better point than when you're at. But anyways, thank you for joining me on Deep Bites with Sony Blaze. That comes on. I do have a schedule. I don't remember it since it's the first episode, but we're getting to it. Anyways, thank you for joining me in my corner of the universe. Peace.